Aztecs usually ate guavas, cherries, and apples. The vegetables that were common were tomatoes and corns. Only rich could eat meat and chocolate. Famine is very common in Aztecs because of insects and storms. The highest class was the ruler. Him and his family called all the shots. Seconds were nobles. They were kind of like his wingmen. They made all the decisions. Merchants were after. They sold things in markets 3 days a week in small cities and every day in big cities. Peasants and slaves were at the last. Lucky for them, you weren't born into what social class. You could move up. So you don't have to stay a slave or a peasant or a merchant forever. Aztecs believed that sacrificing human blood and their hearts would satisfy their gods, making the sun come up every day. The people who were sacrificed were painted blue and taken to the sacrifice temple. This was supposed to be an honor, so they didn't use any of their prisoners. Aztec marriage was completely whacked out. The groom had to invite your teacher to your wedding to be given an axe to cut you symbolically from being a boy. For girls, your eldest family member had to carry you to your wedding. Sorry girls, no wedding dresses. You were linked to your husband, literally, by your shirts, to show that you were one. If you got lucky, then you actually loved your fiancé, but most marriages back then, your parents decided who you married. Yikes. Crime and punishment in Aztec civilization usually meant death. Adultery, drunkenness, stealing, or murder was put to death. Unless you were over 70 years old and had children and grandchildren, you were above this law. You were usually put in cages to die. Markets were usually everyday things. They sold animal skins, building supplies, food. Slaves were even for sale. They used for money cloth or cocoa beans. The markets were a huge part of Aztec civilization. Through warfare, you became very powerful and very wealthy. War was honored by the gods. Every war you started off with a loud war cry. If you were a great warrior, you were usually dressed in leopard fur. If you were a warrior in Aztec civilization, you were definitely honored. Really?
What else I realized?
Peace and blessings.
Do you know what else I realized? What did you realize? Oh, I did.
Oh my god. Wait, are you filming?
Yeah.
Aztecs believed sacrificing human blood would make the sun appear from their gods. So, hot flash. Okay, ready?
5, 4, 3, wait.
Aztecs usually ate in fruit-wise cherries, guavas, pineapples? Crime and punishment in Aztec civilization usually meant death. First, you were locked in cages. You were put in jail because adultery. Oh my god, these ants.